Welcome, my constant reader friends. I'm Tad, and this is Tad Reads Books and Stuff. All right, we're into the new year. January's going wonderfully in Florida. We are freezing. I'm loving it. So I get to wear my long sleeves and my hockey jerseys, finally. But let's do an update. So, as you know, for January, I am planning to read this, Rememberings. This is, of course, Sinead O'Connor. We lost earlier this year. I'm going to be reading that. I haven't started it yet. So you go right there. Also, Daughter of Darkness. I was planning on starting this earlier this month. Have not even started it yet because of the book we're going to talk about today. So, this I'm going to start reading tonight, finally, I swear. Daughter of Darkness, that's book 2 in the newest trilogy, I guess it's going to be, of by Terry Brooks. Also, Harrow County. Now, we are on to Omnibus 2 by Dark Horse Comics. And this, of course, is part of the comic book series that I do with Graz on his channel, the GKBC. And we call it the Marvelous Team Up. It's me and Graz, reading graphic novels and talking about them every 2 weeks. So we're still into that. You'll be expecting a video for that around Tuesday. And what did I finish? Yeah, I did it. I'm kind of proud of myself, guys. The Witchwood Crown. I finished this huge book this week. Yeah, I was just going to read it slowly throughout the month and then talk about this book at the end of the month. And once I started reading it, I couldn't put it down. And man, I read the hell out of this book. So this is what we're going to talk about. I've got a bunch of other books here because I just want to geek out with Tad Williams and Osten Ard and just show you some books for my own pleasure, I guess. But what is a Witchwood Crown? This is actually book 1 in the Last King of Osten Ard series. It's going to be 4 books, I believe, similar to the first series, of course, Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, which I'm going to show off in a second here. But let's get the numbers out of the way. Of course, this is by Tad Williams. It was originally published June 2017. And I put off reading it because I knew it was part of a series. And I didn't want to start reading this and then, wait for years for the other ones to come out. 3 have come out of the 4. The 4th one is due to come out in November of this year. So that's why I chose to get on it and start reading this. 721 pages in this book. 721 pages, 24 of which are the appendix. If you know anything about Tad Williams, if you've read his work before, you know his books are very huge in scope. He oftentimes has several different storylines going, and he builds them to a crescendo and pulls it off. In my opinion, he always pulls off the ending. Some authors not so much, but Tad does. But in this sprawling world of Osten Ard, that you're going to run into hundreds of named characters, locations, creatures, histories, stories. It's amazing that he keeps it all in his brain, but he does, and like I said, he always pulls it off. So this is like the second trilogy or quadrilogy that he's done in the Osten Ard series. On Goodreads, this currently has a 4.16, which is a very respectable rating in my opinion. I'll tell you what I read it when we start talking about the book in more depth. I'm not going to give a lot away on this. I really want you to read it. So this actually starts off 30 years after the events of Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. And coincidentally, it's been 30 years since he's, wrote the last book in the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. Now, we're going to see he did write a couple novellas to start us to, remind us of Osten Ard before these were published. So we're 30 years in the future, and what do we know? Well, first, let's show off the other books. So I'm going to show them in chronological order of the story, not actually how they were published. So, like I said, he did come out with a novella, and that's Brothers of the Wind. Beautiful cover. I like this black snake on the red. It does have this, that soft cover feel. Not a big book, like I said. It's just a novella. But this actually is kind of a prequel to even the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. Tells some stories about, well, the Storm King and the people, the Scythy people, who, of course, are the Norns and the Scythy. Two same type of people. The humans try to call them like elves or fairies. But yeah, that was the prequel. Then you get into, if you want to read it in order, the Dragonbone Chair. This is the first book in the, originally it was a trilogy of Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn are 3 swords, as you can see on the binding here. That's Memory. You can't really see it very good, I guess. But you can see Saoman or Simon here with Binnabic. Beautiful book. That went into number 2. Stone of Farewell. There's Simon here on the front, and he's got, you can see this little white patch in his hair. He's a redhead. He was a scullion boy, working in the Hayholt, and which was the name of the castle in Osten, where he grew up. And he's got white hair here in his hair. They call him Simon Snowlocked now. That was from dragon's blood that got on him. You have to read the story. And then, of course, the third in the series is To Green Angel Tower. This is dense. This is a thick book, and the writing's very small. What they did with this book, originally it was printed like this, but it's so big and so dense, they've actually split it up into 2 now. So if you purchase this now, you'll probably get 2 volumes, Volume 1 and Volume 2 for Green Angel Tower. I have it in its original form. It was just 1 book. And you can see Simon's a little bit older. And there's Miriamel right there. Yep, the king's daughter. And even on the back here, we see some Scythy folk. Yeah, that's Jariki and Aditu. They're kind of the fairy elf people. Great, great series. Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. There's Thorn on the back. I don't think I showed you Sorrow. Sorrow is this sword, black sword. I'm just geeking out a little bit over this because I love this series so much. Yeah, that's Green Angel Tower. And then after that, he went years before he did the Brother of the Wind. And then he did The Heart of What Was Lost. This is a very small book. Another little, 210 page novella that Tad did. And this gives you a little bit more information from the Green Angel Tower into the future. And now, of course, we're at the Witchwood Crown. So the Witchwood Crown then goes on to Empire of Grass. Look at these. Kim, I know you love these covers. These covers are beautiful. This Witchwood Crown and this Empire of Grass. Beautiful covers. The soft, covers. But I don't know what happened. I still haven't really found the exact reason why. But the third book, Into the Narrow Dark, is this. I don't understand. Artwork totally different. not the soft cover anymore. I haven't even seen a cover for the next book, the 4th book, which will be coming out in November this year. They haven't even released the cover of that yet. I don't know why it changed. Kind of makes me mad because I really love the artwork on these. All right, so let's talk about it a little bit. In this book, it's 30 years in the future. Now, Prince Joshua, who of course was the brother of King Elias, who went bad in the first Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, of course, read about that, is missing. Nobody knows if he's dead or alive. They don't know where he is. Nobody's seen him. His wife, Vorsheva, missing. I don't know where she is. They had 2 children, missing. Both of them are missing. So that's a storyline in here that we've got to try to find out what's going on. Also, at this point, Miriamel and Simon. So now Simon is king. Queen Miriamel, King Simon. Their son, they had a son, and they named him John Joshua. So named after, the people in their life. And he's dead. So that's a little bit of a giveaway, but you find that out very early in the story. He's dead, and he's left behind his wife and 2 children. I'm not going to talk about his wife. There's another story going on with that. I don't want to say anything, but we find out, we meet the 2 children, Morgan and Lilia. Morgan and Lilia are young. Well, Morgan's older. Morgan's now, because they don't know where Prince Joshua is. I mean, I don't know, what's going to happen with that. John Joshua their father is dead. So Morgan is now the heir to the throne. He's the grandson of Simon and Miriamel. And kind of like Simon back in the first book, the Dragonbone Chair, Prince Morgan is arrogant. He's young. He's not uneducated, but not very smart. The way he's acting, he's just goes out all the time, and he frequents brothels and bars, and he's got a retinue of friends that just follow him around, and he's drunk all the time, and he doesn't go to functions that he's supposed to. He doesn't act like a prince, like Miriamel and of course Simon would want him to. But then, of course, they forget about how they were when they were young, of course. And so Morgan is going to be big in this story. Lilia is his little sister. She's quite young now, still playing games and playing with dolls and stuff. But I think she's going to be very important in this saga going forward. And so we meet other people too. Like we've met this, so Benebek, we see Benebek again. Yes, we're still going to see all the old characters that survived. Duke Isgrimnor, Lord Eolair. Of course, we've got Simon and Miriamel. Benebek, of course, Simon's troll friend, best friend. We've got, well, hopefully we're going to find out what happened to Joshua and Vorsheva, which we do find Vorsheva towards the end. But we don't know what's going on with that still. We even meet the Sithi. We do run into Jariki again and his sister Ditu, their mother Likamea. We meet a new person, a new Norn, who's going to play a big role in this saga. Vaeki is his name. Also, we meet Little Snennick. Little Snennick is the fiance of Quina. Quina. Quina is the daughter of Benebek and Siski. So it's really cool because little Snenick is now taking on the role of Benebek from Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, where Benebek kind of became the companion of Simon and helped him in his transition from a young boy into the adult he became, and of course the king. So similar kind of storyline I'm feeling here. Little Snenick is saying that he is now going to be the best friend of Morgan. Okay, so you see where we're going here? I loved this book. I gave it a 4-star rating. Of course, on Goodreads, 4 to 5. Really, it would be more like a 4.8 or something, but not quite a 5-star. Why, Tad? Why? You love Tad Williams, you love Osten Ard, you love these stories. Why not? Why didn't I give it a 5-star? Well, first off, you've got to understand, and sometimes he gets pushback for this, Tad Williams writes these huge sagas. Again, tons of stories coming together. He's masterful at it. It is epic fantasy. So it's not this grim, dark fantasy that we're seeing now that's popular. It's a slow burn. And he does get some pushback from his novels, especially his sagas, because he takes his time and he builds this world. It's so lush and beautiful. That's why I love it. His writing style, I don't know, captivates me. It can pull me into it like a movie. I see everything. I'm already a slow reader. I love to visualize what I'm reading. I just don't read the words, and sometimes I read passages or paragraphs over and over and over. That's why it takes me so long. This is the same thing, but I found myself, losing myself in this reading, and then all of a sudden it's 2 hours later, and I didn't even realize it because it's so plush and lush. His writing style, his storytelling, his imagery, it's not just wizards and cutting people up and blood everywhere and wizards casting spells. You're not going to see that. It's more realistic, more like medieval, time that we would imagine. And intrigue, history. There's a lot of history involved. Gods and goddesses and things like that. But that's why I loved it, but I couldn't give it a 5 because there's nothing new. I didn't find really anything new in it. It is very much reminiscent of Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. We had young Simon running away from the Hayholt, the castle, because of nefarious things happening and the world in turmoil with evil and monsters and the Scythi and the Norns and Priorities, the red priest, who was in league with the devil or something, dark forces. We have all that in here. Again, though, now it looks like it's going to be, instead of Simon and Benebek and Miriamel, it's going to be Morgan, Snenick, and Lilia. So it's going to be, again, another coming-of-age type story in this world of Osten Ard. It's still going to be lush and beautiful. It's still going to amaze me, and I'm still going to love it. But there's nothing new here. So I couldn't quite give it a 5. Just for that reason. But 4.75 is pretty darn high. And I suggest, if you've read Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, you really are going to want to read this. And even if you haven't read Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, you can read this. Now, Tad Williams has a YouTube channel called Tad Williams Reads. And he's been going through for a couple years now, reading from some of his work. And he is actually reading from this series now. I watched him for quite a while until he was going to start reading this, and then I had to stop because I didn't want to find out what was going on in this. So I haven't been watching it recently. But anyways, you can check that out. Really cool guy. I love Tad Williams. Not only the fact that he shares my name, Tad, but because I love his writing and his storytelling. So he has said you can actually start with this, The Last King of Osten Ard series. If you haven't read Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, you can come in here. He does reference things, of course, so you can kind of pick up on the history, but you can read this on its own. You don't have to have read Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say. If you haven't read it, still you can enjoy this. I don't know. I'd like to find out if any of you out there have read this already, what you feel about this. If you think it is too samey with Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, or, is there enough in this to make it stand out on its own that you could read it on its own? I don't know. Of course, if you don't know Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, then you're not going to think it's samey, but you know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, I loved it. I can't wait to start the next book. I can't wait for the 4th book to come out. I've already talked about Other Land. They're talking about doing a TV series for his other series, which is more science fiction. If you don't know Tad Williams, man, you gotta read Tad Williams. Even if you're younger, I know Graz, The Dot. I know she loves animal stories and worlds. His very first book, Tad Williams, that he published was called Tail Chaser's Song, and it's about a community of cats, and there's evil cats and good cats, and I think she'd love it. I mean, I loved it. You would love it too. And just if you want to start with Tad Williams, find Tail Chaser's Song. Start with that. Smaller book, not this huge saga like a lot of his books are now. So anyways, that's it. I loved it. Can't wait to keep reading it. I hope if you've read it, give me some comments. I'd love to read the comments. And as usual, hey, please like, please subscribe, please give me some comments. That's what I want most of all. Give me some comments. I love reading the comments. I love meeting new people on here. And until next time, peace out.